Thank you for completing your East Helena Lead certification. My name is Steve Tennis, and I am an environmental health specialist and the Lead Education and Assistance Coordinator for Lewis and Clark Public Health. The objectives for today are pretty simple. I will give you an overview of the process in the East Helena Superfund area, show you the administrative boundary where these rules apply, briefly discuss the health effects of lead exposure to adults and children, outline methods and strategies to reduce lead exposure during construction and other dirt-related activities, and finally, how to properly dispose of contaminated excess soil. This may be an update for some of you that have worked in the area in the past. I want to walk you through a brief timeline of the smelter operations and cleanup work and current progress. First, smelter operations began in East Helena in 1888. The smelter was a 24/7, 365 a day operation. Centuries of smelting deposited heavy metals in the area and of greatest concern, lead and arsenic. In 1895, ASARCO purchased the smelter, and then around 1991, realizing the impacts that were occurring, soil removal action began. In 2001, the smelter officially shut down, and in 2009, the bankruptcy settlement supported the EPA's efforts to continue cleaning up the environment. In 2016, residential yards were replaced, and with new information and more data, East Helena will experience a second round of cleanups, as the deck for lead concentration in soils has been lowered from 1,000 parts per million to 400 parts per million. This map shows the administrative boundary of the East Helena Superfund area. You can access this map on the Lewis and Clark County website if you have any questions about a specific property and if it falls within the boundary or not. For orientation purposes, the red line is US Highway 12. South of that line is where the smelter operations took place. North of the red line is the community of East Helena. Who needs a permit? Any person who is disturbing or removing more than 1 cubic yard of contaminated soil within the administrative boundary of the East Helena Superfund site and Lewis and Clark County. It is also important to note that you will need to do all of your locates prior to your project starting. Why a permit? The East Helena community, along with their partners, have done great work cleaning up the area. There is still work to be done, and we want to continue to be responsible to the community for keeping people safe. The permit is simply a line of communication with us, and the permitting process allows us to ensure the soils are handled and disposed of in accordance with the regulation, and also offers an opportunity to provide education. Apply for your permit well in advance of your proposed project, at least 2 weeks, to ensure all on-site workers receive this training and you have time to plan for any unexpected requirements. Who needs to be certified? Any person who is disturbing or removing lead contaminated soil within the administrative boundary of the East Helena Superfund site and Lewis and Clark County. All certifications are free and good for 2 years. Why is certification necessary? Working in this area means you could be exposed to high levels of lead and arsenic. Certification increases awareness of lead hazards and provides the education needed to protect yourself, your family, and the community. This is a great graphic that outlines the negative impacts of lead exposure. Most importantly, lead is a neurotoxin that is especially harmful for young developing kids. As they grow, they tend to put their hands in their mouths a lot. They crawl around on lead dust in the home or get exposed if there is lead in the soil of the yard. There isn't a safe level of lead. If you look at the graphic, you can see the impacts to children are particularly damaging to the nervous system. Brain development is impeded, creating behavior problems, lower IQ, hearing loss, and learning disabilities. It impacts blood, kidneys, and body has a decreased bone and muscle growth. In adults, it impacts brain, including memory loss, lack of concentration, headaches, irritability, and depression. It impacts cardiovascular health, including high blood pressure. Reproductive systems in men decrease sex drive and sperm counts and sperm abnormalities, and in women it can cause spontaneous miscarriages. It impacts the body and also, the same as with children, impacts the nervous system, which can include numbness and pain in the extremities. How do you protect yourself? Wear your coveralls and boots while at your work site. Avoid any hand-to-mouth contact while working around contaminated soils. This includes eating, smoking, chewing, vaping, any type of tobacco products. Wash hands thoroughly before you leave work every day. And lead and arsenic dust can remain on your clothing after work, so protect your family by removing your work clothes before entering your home. You also want to remember to wash work clothes separately from other clothes in the home. Community protective measures: avoid digging on windy days if at all possible. Cover loads containing contaminated soils before leaving the project site. Wet down contaminated soil before digging and or transporting soils. And rinse the soil and dust off of tires and vehicles prior to leaving the project for the day. The new soil repository is located south of the slag pile. This map shows the old soil repository that was east of the smelter, and this area is no longer available. Directions to the site are here, but essentially you want to turn at the light onto Highway 282, which is west of the old smelter site. Proceed along 282 until you see Smelter Road. Follow Smelter Road until you get to the site. Be sure to contact Stan or Mark, whose numbers are included here, to coordinate when you will drop off the contaminated soil. Thank you for taking the time for your certification today. If you have any other questions, you can contact me at 457-8583. Once you complete this PowerPoint, please refer to your email and click on the link for the certification quiz. It is a pretty straightforward quiz, but if for some reason you do not pass this, give me a call and we can complete it. Thanks for your time, and please reach out with any questions or concerns.